Hello and welcome back to another episode of In Conversation with Nissy Tee. Now, loss of any kind can be really, really difficult. It can be heartbreaking, it can be devastating, it could pull people apart. But what then happens when you experience a loss that is actually within you? Something that was growing in the inside of you that just disappears. Now, miscarriage is said to be the commonest complication of pregnancy. The estimated UK miscarriage rate is 250,000 every single year. And doctors believe that roughly 50% of all conceptions never even make it to a pregnancy test. Today, I'll be talking to a married mother of two, an incredible, brave woman who is a business owner and also the author of Motherhood and and also the owner of a salon by the name of Honey Hand in East London. Yes, the beautiful, looking gorgeous in autumn vibes today, Hannah Ayegbusi. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Good. You look amazing, by the way.
Thank you, Nissy, likewise.
Thank you. You know, I do have to try. I have to try when people are coming through. I'm loving it. You came with like very autumn vibes.
I'm just cold.
Ready? You're just cold.
I'm just cold.
I hope that we can move things up a little bit as we talk though.
Of course.
Hope that's okay. But how's everything going? How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm well.
Yeah.
I've got a little bit of a cold, but I'm okay.
Yeah.
Nonetheless.
Don't worry. By the end of this, let's hope that this cold will like disappear because the conversation will be that great. Will be that good. But like I mentioned before, so you are first and foremost a wife and a mother. How long have you been married?
It will be 3 years in March.
Oh my God.
March
okay.
2020. 3 years.
3 whole years.
Yeah.
How does it feel knowing that you're getting to that point? 3 years, that's a good amount of time, settled in at home, getting to know your husband, knowing yourself. How's that been for you?
3 years has gone by quick.
Yeah.
I will say it's gone by quick. I feel like after the first year, the rest of the years just blend.
Okay.
So I'm not counting years, it's just time that we're spending together now. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does. Because a lot of people, I hear people say that about the first year of marriage. They're like, the first year is always either the weirdest or the hardest. What would you say that it was for you guys?
I wouldn't say the first year was the hardest. I don't know. It was just new. Yeah, I wouldn't say it was the hardest. But again, it wasn't hard for us because we knew each other for a while, so we knew ourselves.
Oh, nice. How long were you together before you got married?
6 months.
Wait.
However,
huh?
We were together for 6 months, but we were friends for 9 years prior to that.
Wait, okay. Let's talk about this just for a second. Okay.
Okay.
How do you go from being friends for, you said 9 years, right?
Yeah.
Friends for 9 years, then all of a sudden deciding, oh yeah, you're the love of my life and we're going to get together and then just get married. I
think for him, I can't speak for him, but I know mostly on his part, he was always, my admirer.
Okay.
But on my end, I think experience changed a lot for me.
Right.
My life experiences. And I think when my life experiences changed, I just saw him in a different way.
Right.
So yeah, that's that story.
What changed? What changed in that period? What would you say?
What I wanted and what I was looking for in a guy changed. Or it matured.
Okay.
Based on a wrong relationship.
Okay. I think every girl has to go through that.
Unfortunately,
we always have to go through the trash to find the treasure. That's how I like to call it. Go through the trash first. Get them out of the way, then get to the treasure.
Yeah.
I always say that. But something I do have to ask you is just how do you manage to handle it all? Because you're a mum, you're a wife, you're a business owner, you have written a book, so you're now an author, and I'm sure you get, requests in regards to that as well. How do you juggle all of that? Because I need help because, preparing to get to that stage in life. So I need help.
I think the truth of it is that I have good support. I don't think I would be able to do anything on my own if I didn't have people support, a supportive husband, number one, and my family. They just help, all hands on deck. So it's not all just me. I can't take the credit like, I just do this or do this, wake up this time. But I have support. Yeah. I have great support.
Yeah, see, that's nice because I know that a lot of people don't have that same kind of like support at home, especially from their husband as well. So obviously you had your business before you got married, right? So how did he respond to that? Because we know that sometimes men say, this is just something that they say, I want a strong woman, a powerful woman, a hardworking woman, a woman that has her own. But then when they actually get that, it can sometimes be a bit like, oh wait, I know I wanted her strong and powerful and doing her own thing, but just maybe not too much. How did you find him kind of like transition and work around you with your own business and your own goals?
Well, funny enough, so I told you my business, the salon's been running for 10 years now.
Oh,
so
wow,
before we opened, while I was about to open the shop, my husband, who was my friend at the time, was helping me.
Wow.
So I feel like he always feels he has an input in, like, he's part of this business. So he doesn't look at it like just her thing. He does look at it like, I'm involved in this because he saw it from ground up. So I don't feel like it's intimidating to him in any way. He just feels involved.
Yeah. Now, of course, I kind of mentioned at the beginning when I introduced you that, you know, you went through a really, really difficult period in your life, a really difficult transition, something that I don't think any woman ever wants or even wishes on her worst enemy, which we'll dive into a little bit deeper in a second. But let's talk about your first pregnancy.
Okay.
How was that, finding out you were first pregnant? How did you react? How did your husband react?
Well, I think we were both startled, like very, very shocked, because it was so soon after marriage.
How long into your marriage?
So if I got married in March, we found out I was pregnant in May.
What? Wait, you guys did not wait.
It wasn't about not waiting. I think we had this philosophy that, you know, however God decides to bless our womb, we're just going to accept it. We didn't want to manipulate it in so much ways.
Fair enough.
Just because we understand the nature of it being a blessing.
Yeah.
But having said that, we wasn't thinking that it was going to happen so soon. So when it did happen, we were just like, oh gosh, what did we, you know, what's happened? We were really shocked when we found out we were first pregnant. But again, we were really happy.
Yeah.
Feeling blessed.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
So you definitely didn't have, like, because obviously you're Nigerian, right? And I'm Congolese, but African parents are African parents, right?
Yeah.
And so you guys definitely didn't have the pressure of, so when will you give us grandchildren? You guys were like straight in, your grandkids.
Yeah, but you know your African parents, they're asking you from before you get married anyway. Look,
That's
I want
true.
Grandchildren. It's time for you to settle down now, you know. So I got that then, but in marriage, there was just no time.
Yeah.
Because it happened all quickly. So there was no time for anyone to give me that pressure in marriage.
No, fair enough. I'm glad that there wasn't any of that pressure though. I feel like sometimes it can be irritating.
Yeah, it's insensitive as well in a sense.
Really, really and truly, because some people, they might be finding it difficult to get pregnant, might have experienced, you know, again, loss as well, which I think people, just African people, sometimes no filter. We love them anyway. And talk us through that pregnancy. How was that process for you? Was it, you know, a smooth pregnancy? How did you find it?
In hindsight, I would say it was a very smooth pregnancy. Going through it, because it's a first time experience, it's alien to you. So any little thing that goes wrong or seems to go wrong, it's just magnified.
Right.
So in hindsight, it was a really good, smooth pregnancy. But going through it, I was really scared about every little thing.
Right.
I wasn't so confident. If something strange happened, I wasn't confident to just be like, oh, no, it's okay.
Yeah.
Every minute I was in the hospital, just trying to check that everything's going okay. Yeah.
You became a bit of a hypochondriac.
What?
Someone that basically becomes like, everything, I have to go to the doctors. I'm sick. Something is wrong. Something's going on. I need to go to the doctors. I wouldn't
say that's what I was.
A&E.
I wouldn't say that's what I was, because I was going based on something actually happening.
Yeah.
So in my pregnancy, the first pregnancy, I had a lot of bleeding.
Oh, wow.
So anytime I bled, I would always go in to see if everything's okay. But in hindsight, everything was fine. I just had I believe it's called a cervical pulp. So there's a lot of stuff you find out about yourself when you're pregnant.
Yeah, please tell me, what is a cervical pulp? Because obviously I've never been pregnant before. So
how can I describe it? It's just something there, it's like something, it's nothing painful, it's just something there that causes it's so sensitive that when it's irritated, it bleeds.
Oh, wow.
So I was shedding a lot of blood and I was bleeding internally as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know, a lot of complications, but it wasn't complications. It was just a lot of new things I'm finding out about myself.
Yeah, but those things, every time you went to the doctor, they said,
it's fine, everything's fine, yeah.
Yeah, did you feel reassured though? Because I think some people go through that notion, even when you go to the doctor and you know that something, I don't know, doesn't quite feel right. But when the doctor said, no, you're fine, you're going to be okay. Did you actually take that on and think, okay, I'm good? Or was there still a little bit of worry there?
There's always going to be a percentage of worry, but the percentage was quite small just because my overall instinct was, it lined up with what the doctor said. So I didn't feel, intuitively, fearful. So if I did feel fearful and the doctor said it's fine, I'd counteract that.
Right.
But because my intuitions worked with what the doctors were saying, I was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So you had, obviously, to your knowledge now, quite a smooth pregnancy.
Yes.
And you gave birth to a beautiful baby boy.
A very good birth, yeah.
Yeah.
A beautiful birth.
How was that for you, the birthing?
No, the birth process was, to me, I feel like with the birth of my first and second son, they were both just fantastic.
Wow.
And I just pray that for every other person.
Oh, please.
But they were very smooth. They were smooth.
Let me just touch the hem of your gown.
I'm done.
Please, I want that. That's what I want. I've literally said to myself, and you might think that I'm delusional, but I literally said, I'm going to have the smoothest pregnancy. I'm going to go in 2 hours, push, and then I'm going to be done. That's what I said to myself.
God willing.
God willing.
God willing.
That's exactly how I want to see it. Now, of course, the second pregnancy wasn't as smooth of a process. So you went into second pregnancy. When did you you found out, that you were pregnant the second time?
Oh, right. So you're talking about the loss. Second time pregnancy.
Second time, yeah.
So my son was 10 months. It was not planned at all.
Okay.
But we found out we were pregnant. And again, we were shocked, but we were like, okay, we're going to welcome it with, we're going to welcome it as a blessing.
Of course.
So I decided that based on my first pregnancy, because in hindsight it went smoothly, that this time with my second pregnancy, if I saw anything like bleeding or just anything, I wasn't going to go into the hospital. I was just going to firm through it because
it happened the first time. So you thought it's fine.
So I thought it'll be fine. So when I found out that I was bleeding, I was like, okay, it's nothing, it's fine, it's nothing. It was only that when I started to get a lot of pain with the bleeding that I realized that something's not right here. So I went into the hospital and it turned into one thing.
Right. So that's when, because you actually posted on Instagram about a year ago, around this time, like Christmassy time, a year ago. And you actually mentioned in your caption, you said you had something called an ectopic pregnancy. And just in case anyone, doesn't quite know what that is, the definition is an ectopic pregnancy is a complication of pregnancy in which the embryo attaches outside the uterus. Signs and symptoms classically include abdominal pain, which you mentioned, and vaginal bleeding. So that was what you experienced as well.
Yeah.
So of course, you went into the hospital. You now realize that these things are happening to you. What was the first thing that the doctor said?
Yeah, so when I went in to go and get it checked, the first thing that was established was that the pregnancy, even though I had a positive pregnancy test, the pregnancy didn't show up on the scan.
Wow.
So they immediately just assumed I was having a miscarriage.
Wow.
So I went home and, continued as normal, but the pains were still there. Actually, I had a seizure. I had a fit.
You had a seizure?
I had like a fit. I was just shaking and vomiting, and that's what happened. And then I went into the hospital again the next morning.
Wow.
And then when I went into the hospital, a different hospital the next morning,
right,
they did another scan and said the pregnancy is definitely not, we can't see it because we can't see your left fallopian tube. Okay. It's covered in blood.
Wow.
So immediately from that point, I was just rushed into emergency and the operation proceeded.
Wow. So let's go back just a tiny bit, just to kind of like recount those steps. So how far along were you when you actually realized, one, that you were pregnant, and then two, that something just doesn't seem quite right about this?
So when I found out I was pregnant, I suppose I was 4 weeks pregnant because it was just the missed period that made me check that I was pregnant.
Yeah.
So as the pregnancy progressed and I found all of this out, I was about 8 weeks.
Along.
Yeah.
And so at this point, like you said, you've now found out that you're pregnant. You and your husband are probably, quite happy. Like, oh my gosh, a second baby. We're really, really excited. So how did that moment feel, the moment that they tell you actually nothing is there?
That was when I went into the first time and they said, they can't pick up anything on the scan. That was obviously alarm bells. But I was trying to stay positive, thinking that, okay, maybe it's just because it's too small. That's why they can't find something.
Okay.
So I was fighting the thoughts of anything negative. And then when I was told that it was an ectopic pregnancy, when I was told it was possibly an ectopic pregnancy and I had so much bleeding, that's when I panicked and I literally was going crazy because I couldn't believe what was going on. I was like, what's going on?
Yeah.
So much so that I said, can I go home? Like, she was like, if you go home, you probably die because you're bleeding internally.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was that serious.
Oh my goodness. And how big would the baby have been? Would the baby have been forming, or would it still have been like an embryo size?
I don't know how big it was. They did show me a picture of, I could see a little tiny, I'm sure it was really tiny, but they did show me a picture of where it was.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. How was that, just looking at that?
I'm not sure. I think I just looked and left. I didn't want to attach any emotions to it.
Yeah. No, I mean, to some degree, it must be difficult just having to go through that entire process. Was your husband there at the time?
He wasn't there initially when they were giving me all the scary news of trying to take my jabs and put the gown on me and push me in theatre. He literally just saw me as I was getting wheeled into theatre. So I saw him very briefly before the operation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now in terms of the actual process itself, what do they actually have to do? Did they talk you through what, procedure they would have to, obviously they have to let you know what they're doing with your own body, but how does that all work?
So when they did the scan and they realized that, look, you're bleeding internally and we can't see a pregnancy despite you being pregnant, it's most likely it's an ectopic pregnancy.
Right.
So she says, okay, so what we're going to have to do, because you're bleeding, it shows that your ectopic pregnancy is ruptured already.
Wow.
That's why it was so life-threatening.
Wow.
So she goes, we're going to put you in theatre. Just sign here how you want us to get rid of the baby. And then when I went into the theatre, I think what they thought they would do was just remove my tube. But because it already ruptured and where my ectopic pregnancy was, it was neither in the womb nor the tube.
Right.
So they had to, this I'm finding out afterwards, I don't think they even knew what they were opening up. So they had to take part of my womb and the tube out because the pregnancy was in both areas.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's what happened. She told me all of this afterwards. I think when they...
Wait, so going in, you had no idea that's what they would have to do?
They were just having to clear out the blood because there's too much bleeding. They didn't really say what procedure they were going to do. They just knew there was bleeding and it's most likely there's a pregnancy somewhere that's not where it's not supposed to be. So they knew they had to remove a pregnancy and clear the bleeding.
Right.
That's what I knew they were going to do.
Yeah. And even as the process was going on and now you've come out of surgery and you've now heard this, what was your kind of reaction moving forward in terms of now I have to go home and just carry on, I guess, with my regular life?
Yeah, that was where the fight came for me because I think as I was in the hospital bed, I literally couldn't walk because of the nature of the operation. So I was on the bed and I think I was trying to say to myself, okay, so I think the first thing I had to accept was, okay, I'm not pregnant anymore.
Wow.
So I don't have this expectation of having a baby. I had to accept that. And then just moving forward with that truth.
Yeah.
It was a process. I decided to be grateful for what I did have over what I had lost. And the fact that I had my healthy son already and I had a supportive husband.
Yeah.
Those were things that literally got me through every day.
Yeah.
The fact that I was grateful that I had those people. My family.
And it's definitely something that you mentioned as well in the caption again. I think the thing that you wanted to get across was that making it very, very clear. You didn't want it to be a case of you coming to talk about, a loss or something like that, but you actually wanted to talk about you surviving.
Yeah.
How has that changed you as a woman coming out on the other side of that?
Well, it's definitely made me appreciate birth a lot more, pregnancies a lot more, because I never thought that would happen to me. And especially that I said, my first son, I got pregnant quickly, no trying, got pregnant, spontaneous pregnancy.
Yeah.
And in hindsight, I say that the pregnancy and the labor and delivery everything was smooth. So in a million years, I would have never thought that I would have had an ectopic pregnancy to that extent. So it's just made me realize now, whenever someone says, oh, I'm pregnant, or I'm just saying, I just know that pregnancy was by the grace of God. And even that you've been able to deliver the child, all of that is just by the grace of God. I'm really delicate around pregnancies and stuff like that now. I don't take it for granted.
Yeah.
And I do understand the nature. No, I do understand that these are blessings.
Yeah.
Because nobody knows what's going to happen to them.
Yeah.
Nobody. It's one thing some people find it hard to get pregnant.
Right.
But then to actually carry a pregnancy to the 9 months and deliver, that's even a blessing in itself.
Yeah. So. I always say, honestly speaking, I feel like women in general, especially those that have kids, multiple children, should get like an extra tax or something given to them. Because I genuinely feel like you're a superhero. Every single time you go through labor, well, from what I've read and I've understood from like things I've seen, it's literally like you're almost getting to the point of nearly sacrificing your life because you're going through so much pain. Yeah. There could be complications, so many things could happen. So I personally think the government should add some form of additional income that comes to mothers like yourself, just to say a thank you for going through that process. Now, you actually got pregnant again after that. Now, how long from the moment that you went through all of that stuff to then getting pregnant, how long was that?
So the ectopic pregnancy happened in October 2018. 18.
Right.
And then I got pregnant again, literally. Well, I was told not to get pregnant till 6 months after, but again.
Oh my goodness. I don't know. You guys are fruitful. Very, very fruitful.
And then we found out. So if it happened in October, I found out I was expecting in January. So that's that's like 4 months or so.
4 months later. So you now find out. Yeah. So you now find out that you're pregnant again. Was there an element of yourself that was fearful, that just said, I don't even think I want to go through this process because what if?
It wasn't, I don't want to go through this process because what if? It was more just, I was really happy that I found out I was pregnant. Even though we weren't planning for it, I was really happy. I was like, wow, because when someone's saying they take out part of your womb and part of your tomb, I just thought, okay, infertile for the rest of my life. That's how I thought. Right. So when I found out I was pregnant, just spontaneously again, I was really thankful. But I was fearful that, because apparently the chances of you having an ectopic pregnancy a second time are high.
Wow.
So I did think, wow, this could be, I'm thankful I'm pregnant, but now I need to know if it's in the right place.
Right.
And I had to wait for 2 weeks to find out if it was in the right place.
Yeah.
So I was fearful, but thankful.
Yeah. And then after that, again, you had another beautiful baby boy. So your second child now. Yeah. So you're a mommy of 2. Yeah. Now, that must have just been you must have been so relieved at the end of that process when your baby just came and you were just like, you're here, I can breathe now. During the pregnancy, did you find yourself, being, extra, like really like, okay, anything happened again? Kind of like the first pregnancy, going back to that again.
So the complications of the second pregnancy scarred my perspective with the third pregnancy.
Yeah.
I was thankful that I was able to conceive.
Right.
So I was thankful with the positive pregnancy test.
Yeah.
And then I was overly thankful when they said it was in the right place, because I had to check whether it was in the right place. So when they checked and confirmed it was in the right place at 6 weeks,
right,
I was so happy.
Yeah.
So the next complication after going through was the fact that they kept telling me I had to have a C-section based on the fact that part of my womb was removed. So they thought that contractions would rupture that wound, would rupture that scar. So I was always really fearful of the kind of delivery that I was having. So all through on the 9 months, I was just going back and forth with, would I deliver naturally or will I have to go for a C-section? There was just that constant fear that carried me all the way through, even though I had such a good pregnancy. So with this second pregnancy, I literally had no symptoms, nothing. I literally felt like a normal person with just a big belly.
Wow.
It was such a good pregnancy, but my anxiety didn't allow me to enjoy it.
Right.
Because I was always anxious of what's going to happen.
Yeah. Which is so normal for someone that's, been through what you went through. I think it's normal because automatically you're going to think, oh my gosh, is this going to happen to me again? Is it going to happen the second time? How did that actually, something I really wanted to know actually, how did that affect your marriage when you went through the ectopic pregnancy? Did it have any form of effect on your marriage? Do you feel that there was a strain, or did you feel like actually brought you guys closer together?
If I'm honest, overall it brought us together.
Yeah.
I think because with my husband, on his side, he was just happy that I'm just happy that I have my wife.
That you're alive.
And I think if he was so close, he felt like he was so close to losing his wife.
Wow.
So when he finally, when it didn't happen and he had his wife, he was just more grateful for me.
Yeah.
So I feel like that was that for him. With me, I was just thankful to have somebody who was just there. I could see that my husband would give him his right arm for me to just be happy and do anything just to support me in that time period. So it brought us together.
Yeah.
I did see that there were times where I feel like, oh, I went through this alone. This was me, that it happened to me, and you didn't feel any of that. So I'd have some moments of like some form of resentment, sorry. But
did that translate literally? So, you said that you had elements of resentment. Was that more just a feeling that you kept to yourself, or did it translate into confrontations or frustration?
It never resulted to confrontations.
Yeah.
Simply because I had spoken to women who, as soon as I got out of the hospital, or was I even in the hospital, I wanted to speak to somebody who had gone through it as well. So when I spoke to someone who had gone through it as well, she shared her experience with me, and she was able to advise me, like, don't let this make you hate your husband. Like, so because I got that advice, anytime I did feel moments of resentment, I never let it out.
Yeah.
I never let it out because I was advised otherwise. And I understood.
Yeah.
So
that's amazing though, that you actually felt the need to go and seek support. Because a lot of women might go through that and feel like this is just something I'm going through alone. What actually got you to that point where you said, no, I need to go and talk to somebody?
To know that this is not just happening to me, to know that there are other women who survived through this, like to know, I wanted to hear victory stories. And you know what's so funny is like, you know, being an African, having an African mum, they're like, don't share, don't tell anybody that you went through. Keep it to yourself, but I don't like that, because if that was the case for these other people that shared their stories with me, I would never have known to go to those people. So that's why I'm so confident and happy to share my story, because people need to know that you can survive through this, and they want to know how to survive through it as well. So I sought help from a ectopic pregnancy survivor because I wanted to be helped with someone who had gone through it.
So in that whole process, what would you say it taught you emotionally, spiritually, anything, you know, physically? What would you say it taught you about yourself?
It taught me, and it's still teaching me, to be grateful for everything. I literally walk through life just being grateful and thankful for the smallest things. So sometimes when things overwhelm me, I just remember, be thankful for what you do have. So gratitude is one thing that's taught me and teaching me. Another thing is the power of the mind. Like, just, you can determine how to let a situation, you determine how a situation controls you. And I feel like, anyway, prior to this experience, I had a depression a while ago. And through that experience, I never wanted to ever feel that low again. So when this happened, I understood that it could make me hit rock bottom. It could literally drown me. But because I didn't want it to, I didn't ever want to be at rock bottom again like that. I determined to fight through it. I determined to try and stay above it, or to not let it overwhelm me or control me. So the power of the mind.
No, most definitely. Now, you obviously made mention to it, and that's actually something that I wanted to touch on. You spoke about it in a video that you did with your husband, which was really sweet, by the way. I loved it. You guys are just so cute. So cute. I love it. But you did make mention that in about, I think, 2015, you said that you did go through a depression. Can you walk us through that process a little bit?
Well, that was a silly heartbreak. It was not silly.
It's not silly.
But, it's not silly, but it was a heartbreak. But it took me, I think it's, it hit me, it made me hit rock bottom. Literally, life was just black, no hope. And when someone feels like there's no hope, you're in a really horrible place. And that was me. So it was a heartbreak. I felt like I gave my all to someone, and he didn't, take it for what it was. So I hit rock bottom. I was low.
And you said that was a really dark period of your life. What would you say in that moment in itself? What would you say was the hardest thing for you to deal with?
Rejection, you mean? I think
just within yourself, what was the hardest thing that you had to deal with? Waking up in the morning, knowing that you were going through that. What was the most difficult thing that you had to deal with?
Well, when I was in that dark place, I didn't want to wake up. Every day was just a drag. Every day, I didn't see anything good in any of the days ahead of me. I was embarrassed to live. I was embarrassed just because of all the people that saw our love and just saw that it fell apart. I was embarrassed of that. And being in a dark place, it affected every other thing. It affected my relationship with my family, because I just couldn't relate to them. It affected my friendships. It affected my business. It affected everything. And I had to, when I got out of that, I had to go and fix all of those things.
How did you manage to come out of that though? And how long were you in that period for?
Well, the depression thing was a downward spiral. So it didn't just happen one time.
It was a gradual process.
It was very gradual. But when it did hit rock bottom, and I was at rock bottom, it was, again, funny enough, it was on October till December. It was that long. That was the period I was really down for. And luckily, it was because it was going to a new year. That's what made me feel I want a new perspective.
Like a fresh start.
Yeah, I wanted a fresh start. So that's what helped me. The fact that a new year was coming, and I just didn't want to be the way I was going into the new year. So I started by a vision board. Literally, that was as simple as it was, a vision board.
What made you do that? Was it something that just shifted in your mind? Was it something that you heard? Obviously, you mentioned that you were about to step into a new year, but for some people, that suffer from depression, anxiety, whatever it is that gets them into that dark place, is not until something really hits them that they finally look at themselves and say, I need to wake up. Was there anything that kind of like hit you to make you do that? Or
it was the coming year. It was the fact that I couldn't continue like this. And I saw all the things that I'd worked hard for crumbling.
Wow.
So my business, so my relationships. I saw it all crumbling. And I just knew in the new year, I can't continue like this.
Yeah.
That was the waking point, I suppose.
Yeah. And something that I wanted to touch on actually is something that we mentioned a bit off camera as well. We're talking about businesses and the fact that, you know, a lot of people love to glamorize this whole being an entrepreneur, being a CEO, so that they can write it in their Twitter bio or their Instagram bio, just to let people know these times not generating any income. But, you know, that's a story for another day. But with yourself and your, you know, you mentioning that it was affecting your business, how has that been for you? Like moving and navigating being a business owner and going through all the different things that you've had to experience. How has that been for you?
I would just say it's just a learning curve. Like I've literally learned on the go to be, what to be, how to be better. And you just learn in I don't know, it's a learning curve. Yeah. I'm learning, literally every day I'm learning how to be and how to manage better.
Yeah. And you mentioned before that obviously you started your business when you were 21. You're a completely different person now. You're 31 now?
30.
30 now. Completely different person. And you just said that, you know, navigating that it can be challenging at times.
Yeah. Just accepting that you're not the same as who you were when you first started.
Yeah.
I'm understanding this new process, I don't know.
Yeah. It's a learning process. It's like anything in life, right? A learning process. So what do you think, for example, if you didn't know, as, you know, a woman, you just are living your life, you get pregnant. What is it that you would like to know about pregnancy in particular, and even about ectopic pregnancies? Is there anything that you would have liked to know in advance about that process?
Yeah, I suppose I would, based on the experience, I would have liked to know that it was possible to anyone.
Yeah.
You know, it can happen to anyone. There's a lot of things that pregnancy opens up about you and your body. You don't know. I didn't know I had fibroids. I didn't know I had I didn't know I had internal bleeding. I didn't know I had a cervical polyp.
Right.
So,
but sorry, really, really quickly, even with fibroids, a lot of people say that it's difficult to get pregnant, isn't it? When you have fibroids?
It depends on how big your fibroids are. So mine are really small and they're not inside my womb.
Okay.
So it's the scope is wide.
Right.
So I would say, just with the nature of pregnancy, there's a lot I would have checked out about myself. Actually, I don't know if I would have, because it would have just scared me, because these things never really did affect how I gave birth or how I was able to conceive. But it's good for a woman to know her body.
Yeah.
It's good for a woman to know what can help her body.
Yeah. No, but I think that's important, because a lot, like you said, you wouldn't really know. Like even myself, I'm not going to lie to you, I haven't gone to the doctors to kind of see. Pregnancy, by God's grace, is very possible. Like I said, it'll be smooth and beautiful.
Amen.
But again, it's not something that I've gone to actively check, you know, and make sure that everything is in place, everything is okay, and maybe see if there are things that I should be expecting, you know, as I go through that process.
No, but now I'm thinking, I don't know if I would advise someone to try and go and do all these checks and stuff like that, simply because you don't need to scare yourself. Because if I was 21 and I wanted to go and check myself and they said you have a cervical polyp, I would have been afraid.
Right.
Okay. But I mean, I feel like I would advise just eat properly.
Yeah. Do
exercises. All of these things do contribute to a woman's fertility.
Yeah.
I would say do those things. Maybe the checks, they might scare you. They might throw you off, because some of the things you find out about yourself might not even hinder your fertility anyway. So
yeah. Fair enough. No, it's definitely important to know, and at least to check anyway. One of the things that I will say is that, you know, I said that you're a survivor, you're brave, you're courageous. And again, I did mention this off camera, but I do have to say you're so admirable for even just being so strong and coming on and talking about this, because I know that there are probably other women who will watch this and be like, wait, that was me. I went through that. I went through those moments. So admirable. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
What would you say to anyone who's going through this process? Just something, words of advice, words of encouragement, just something to leave them with. What would you say to them?
I would say it's unfortunate. It's an unfortunate situation, but it will not kill you if you don't allow it to.
Wow.
Try and use this to be better in life. There's always something to be thankful for. Just don't let this situation, the fact that you're up and you're alive shows you have hope for much more in life. You don't have to let this situation crumble you. Determined to get through this in the best way that you can. And it's painful. I don't want to just be like, just fight through it. No, it's a painful and tough thing to go through when you lose something you were expecting inside of you. It's one day at a time. No day's the same, but find in one day something to be happy about, something to pull you through. You have hope. Don't let anything kill that hope.
And do you know what? I have to ask you this one final question. I promise you. The last one, I promise. Don't worry. And then you're free to go. What would you say are maybe, let's say your top 3 tips, practical things? Just because I think sometimes it's easy to kind of be like, like you said, you're going to be fine, fight through, etc. But 3 practical things that you maybe did for yourself, and that you would maybe encourage other women who are going through a process like that, whether it be miscarriage, whether it be ectopic pregnancy.
That's a nice question. I really like that question.
Yeah, 3 practical things.
And I would say the first thing I did was look for someone who went through it. I wanted that hope. I wanted their power. I wanted whatever they had to survive through it. So I spoke to 2 people. The first thing I did, I found 2 people who went through it, and I wanted to hear their survival story. The second thing I did was, it's weird, but I organized a meeting to go to meet up with someone who inspires me through life. And I just sat with her over dinner and we just talked about life. Because I just love her energy. I love how she's progressed in her business and so on and so forth. So
is this someone that we might know? Do you know the person?
I don't know if you know her, but her name's Sade. Akinoso. So she owns The Chemist, if this is going to go on.
Okay.
She owns The Chemist.
Okay.
Yeah, so she's just phenomenal. I had a meeting with her straight after my surgery, and she just it was great. That meeting set me up in a good way. So yeah, go to someone who inspires you, or go. It might for you just be a happy a walk. It's just whatever you do that you like, that's going to ignite you. Go and find that. And then the third thing was, again, just literally actively looking for things to be grateful for in your life. Like,
amazing.
This loss, whatever, is painful, but there are things to be thankful for. Even if it's, I'm awake, I'm alive, this experience didn't kill me physically. That's enough to be thankful for. I have one friend, that friend I'm thankful for. Find something to be thankful for.
Amazing. And I think that's something that I would definitely echo. Find something to be thankful for. And in this moment, I am thankful that you have come on. I'm thankful that you shared your story, and I'm thankful that you've just been such a powerful woman in everything that you're doing. So I wish you all the best with business, marriage, etc. Like I said, I already touched the hem of your garment, so I can have the grace, so I can receive. Just touch my hand. Thank you, Jesus. Yes. I just need that grace as I process myself through these things as well. So thank you so much for sharing. It's encouraging for people like myself who are on their way in that journey. So again, you heard it. Be grateful. Be grateful for even those small, tiny things that you might deem insignificant. Be grateful for every single moment. We heard the story today, and for anyone that's dealing with the exact same thing, we wish you also all the best, and we hope that you will continue to fight through, because you have survived and you can survive. So thank you so much once again for watching. I'll see you guys again in another episode.